you're just going to click on the little screen share, and then I'm going to click it over to you so that it stays on your screen.
So you can see my lady?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay.
Okay,
so this is my beauty one.
Okay, tell me about it.
So this is, I wanted to make my beauty shoots about, you know, not just model people. So this is just an ordinary Les who's my friend, and she's lovely and curvy, and so we wanted to do, and she's very colourful personality, so we dressed her up in a pink cheesecloth and went to the local flower gardens to do this.
Okay.
It's basically natural lighting, this one.
Okay. How do you feel you did on this one?
I like this one of her because it was a quite flattering pose for her. She had a bit of a curve going on her side, and she just looks happy and relaxed. And for somebody who's never modelled before, I thought she did really, really well. She didn't look nervous. I did do some tweaking after the critiques from the others. There was like a silver birch tree in the background that I took out because it was a bit distracting, and I think Tom mentioned she had some stray hairs, which I've taken out as well. But this was one of my favourite ones from her shoot.
Okay. So I'm going to contrast that a little bit. I actually don't think the pose is flattering. I do. Yeah. I love the flowers. I love the color, and the fact that the dress kind of pulls out the color in the star lily that's in her hair. And I think she has a fantastic expression. She does look very genuinely happy, and a lot of times emotions and expressions look very forced in photos. However, that being said, with the way that she has her arms curled up around her knees and the angle that you chose to shoot her at, she's looking a lot wider than she needs to be. You lose a lot of the curve in her waist, and we were talking about this a little in some of the other critiques if you were listening. Your body reads things from one side to the other. So right now, there is a line that starts at her back, and it does not end until the fronts of her knees. That's how wide your eye is perceiving her to be right now, which obviously isn't the case. And because of the dress and the fabric, there's like a really slight line that shows where her waist is, but it's not prominent enough. So if that was the pose that I was going to go with, I probably would have dodged and burned it a little bit. I'm also a really big fan of separation. So right now you just have her whole body all pulled up into a little ball, which doesn't show off any of the feminine curves whatsoever. I would have probably pulled the dress up a little bit and staggered her legs just to show a little bit of separation. And I would have elongated her by probably having her actually lean back a little bit, or having her drop her feet entirely and lean forward, just to put a little bit of separation between her torso and her legs. I do like the retouching on it a lot. It's got that very dreamy kind of feel that's getting more and more popular, it seems. So I'm going to say that it's commendable, but it wasn't a total hit.
Awesome. Cool. Because beauty is feeling new to me, so I'm going to take all the advice you can give me. This is my latest shoot. After starting the Arcanum, I just wanted to try a few things. There is a bit of off-camera lighting. This shoot was actually, I found this dress at an op shop, and I really loved it, and it's basically inspired by it. And she is my evening, and evenings are emerging, so that's what she is called. So I wanted her to represent evening as well, like coming out, emerging from the background.
So what do you think works and what doesn't work about this photo?
I liked the evening lighting and the colors. I don't know. Can you tell me?
No. I mean, yes, I'm going to. But the reason that that I'm having you guys kind of self-critique first is actually a really, really strong reason. I see a lot of photographers that go into different groups and go online and they share images, and they want other photographers and people to give them feedback, which is good because it's always good to have a fresh pair of eyes. But the problem is that if you can look at this image before I tell you anything that I think is right or wrong with it, and you can pick out what's right or wrong with it, then the next time that you're looking through the viewfinder, you can see what's right and wrong with it before you click the shutter and you correct it there instead of having to try to fix it in Photoshop or log it for later. So that's why we're doing that. So I highly recommend every time you're going through your images that you just sit and stare at them until you pick out at least one thing that works and one thing that doesn't. That's how you really start to master your craft. That's it.
Yeah.
I really like this photograph. The lighting is pretty, but it's not exceptional. Everything's well exposed. You have really good texture in the clouds. I can see all of the details of the grass. The only place that you kind of lose it is in her dress a little bit. There's not a lot of shape or fabric movement in it. It's very, very black and stark. So I might have just lightened up the exposure on her gown just a little bit, just to give it a little bit more shape. You're breaking that fourth wall where she's looking right at the viewer of the image, which can be really powerful, but I don't think she quite brought the expression and had the presence to really pull it off. So it looks more like a snapshot than a photo when that happens. Like there's basically two ways you can do it. Either you have a really strong, fierce model and she brings all that presence forward right to the viewer and connects with them, or you have her look wherever you want the viewer to look. So especially in boudoir, we do this all the time. You'll see a lot of my shots. The girls look down the lines of their body to whatever curve I think is the most flattering. So if you had, say, had her in that pose where she's stepping lightly through the sand and just brought, say, one hand up to her head and had her look down the opposite length of her body, then your eyes would have followed and flowed down the whole line of her body as a whole, which if the gown was the focus of the piece and that's what inspired it, that wouldn't have been a bad thing to do.
I did have a couple of poses like that, but I didn't include them.
Okay. Well, just things to think about. I mean, overall, it's a really, really good image. The whole background is exposed perfectly. A lot of times in shots like these, if you have the exposure right on her or on the grass, then you lose it in the clouds and it's overexposed there and you don't get any of that texture. So you did a really good job with that. I think it's really good. I would have liked to have seen just a little bit more of a shallow or depth of field. It's pretty sharp all the way back, and I find that when you have have a smaller aperture, that it helps focus what you want the focus of the image to be. So, and a lot of times if I don't get this enough with my shot when I'm taking it, then I'll fake it in Photoshop too, just to make sure that where you are is where I want you to be looking. But overall, it's a really good shot. I'm gonna give you a 3.
Thank you.
The next one.
Sorry, the next one. The one problem I did have with this shoot, I think maybe because I am learning so much, is that basically every photo looked different after I'd edited it because I was trying out all these different things. There's really no cohesion amongst the whole thing, and it's something I'm going to have to work on. This image is pretty much straight out of camera. And you know how I've been talking about getting more images to have more boom shagalaga. I wasn't too sure what to do with it really to make it more impactful, or it was kind of the ones I got a bit stuck with and just pretty much left as it is and kind of wanted your advice on.
Okay. Well, I have to say, for being pretty much out of camera, it's a beautiful shot. Like, you're doing really, really well. And they say get it right in camera. You're getting it right in camera. So it's got really, really beautiful, nice, even lighting all over. But even though it's not like really contrasty light, you're still getting that definition in her cheekbones and that really pretty butterfly lighting. But you're keeping the texture of the grass and the clouds behind. So epic for being out of camera. As far as her pose, I love her face. She has this little doe-eyed look. Her hair looks awesome. It's very couture. You love the dress. I liked the dress. But I think again, when you're shooting, your mind and your eye will read from one side of the color to the other. So right now, the width of her body is from one arm to the other because there's no separation between her torso and her arms. So
Right.
either you have her bring her arm out and put a crease in it and then the elbow in so that it pulls away from the hips, or you have her turn her hands into her hips so that you get those diamonds of space in between where it's really strong. It just depends on where the image wants to go. A lot of times I'll play with them too, and I will have them lace their fingers through, you know, through the top of the collar, or, you know, in my case, they're usually playing with like bra straps and like the negligees and the lace, but give her hands something to do. Hair
Yeah.
is another great one. You can have her put her hands in her hair, but don't leave her arms flat at her sides because then it becomes stiff like a board and there's no separation and you lose all that beautiful curve that is the feminine figure.
Oh, that's awesome because, yeah, I've never thought about that separation thing, so that's really good advice. That was something I will take note of.
Overall, I think it's still a really good shot though. It is a little simple and it looks like it was out of camera, but it's still got really beautiful color, considering. If you were looking to punch it up, this would definitely be an image that would be punched up in Photoshop or your retouching software. You know, this is one that I think would work really well with a nice matte finish and with a lot of frequency separation, and maybe like some muting and color toning. And I would just take it and play with it. It's a beautiful finished image out of camera to just sit and play with and sort of hone in on your style if you're still getting used to retouching. And there's tons and tons and tons of tutorials in the Arcanum library, and if you're not finding what you want there, then, you know, go to YouTube. Everything's available. Find something that you love and just start playing with it until you master it.
I didn't know what frequency separation was.
Okay, so when we get off, you're going to
Yeah.
go to YouTube and you're going to look up a frequency separation in Photoshop. And basically what that does is it's a really neat retouching thing where a lot of people use it for skin because it separates the texture of the skin from the color of the skin. So you know how a lot of times, especially if you're dealing with someone that doesn't necessarily have good skin,
Yeah.
they'll have a lot of redness or color, but their skin texture is pretty good. And while you're trying to fix it, you're pulling not so good texture from other places with the healing brush, or vice versa. They don't have good texture, but they have good color. And the more you try fixing it, you end up muddling it. This enables you to separate the two, so you can just correct the color or you can just correct the texture without affecting the other area. It's really neat. And I know. I don't actually know if they have one in the Arcanum library, but I know, are you familiar with Flern? With Aaron
No.
Nace? Okay, so Aaron Nace is one of my favorites, and he owns this company named Flern, and they teach primarily Photoshop, and they have a lot of complimentary tutorials and stuff on YouTube, and I learned how to do it from his tutorial. It's very, very easy to understand if you're just starting out, because I'm completely self-taught with Photoshop too. So Aaron Nace, Flern, write it down, and then go
Yep,
look it up on
write it
YouTube
down.
for frequency
Cool.
separation.
Yay.
But overall, for where you are right now, I'm going to give this one a 3 too.
Well, thank you. So this is just after the account, so this is what I'm learning so far. Now this one is going backwards a bit. It's I need to redo a lot more black and whites because I haven't got an up-to-date library really of them. But this is kind of the field that I've always wanted to do with my photography, and I know we'll talk about it a bit later, but I have been a bit sidetracked from that. But I love natural, at-home, interactive black and white photos, and this was kind of a family setting that I'd done that they felt the same way as I did. What I don't like is this boy's little blankie because it kind of looks like another limb, and he's got it looks like a hand in his pocket, but it's his blanket. And then you realize, oh, he has got another leg over here by the chair.
I agree with you. I was trying to figure that out visually as well. So that's if you and I both went to that immediately, so does everybody else. So that's definitely, but sometimes, especially with little kids, like that favorite stuffed animal or blanket is the difference between a good expression and a screaming face. So, you know, the parents will buy for the expression and forgive the limb. And some of that is also probably because it's black and white, so there's no tonality difference between the blanket and his pants, where if it had been in color, that probably wouldn't have been the case. I love the interaction. I love the expression. I'm a big fan of family portraiture done this way, where it's less posed and formal, and you can really kind of get a feel for the relationship between the people in the image. I love that the dad is in his socks and the little boy is barefoot. And I love the interaction in the little chairs. I do not like the background that you chose. It looks like some kind of like garage door, maybe, like a big metal door. Is that right?
One of those side, yeah, that garage is converted into an office kind of, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's just too busy.
Okay.
Between, especially, and again, this may be because it's black and white, but all of those horizontal lines and the rivets of the pieces, and you know, the texture of the little chairs and the texture of the cement, and then feeding into it, and it's all black and gray. It's just, it's a little bit overkill visually, to where you start to get confused about where you're supposed to be looking. I may have vignetted this one a little bit just to draw the attention down to the couple a little more too. And again, that softer depth of field, I would have probably shot this at maybe somewhere between like 4 and 2.8 and no higher, just to make sure that they were the only things in focus. It gets harder to do that when you're doing family, because you have to compensate for both faces. But even still, like, I think it would have helped a lot.
And done that.
Say that again?
Sorry. I could have brought them a bit more forward and then done that depth of field.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that probably would have helped. Overall, still, it's a really good image, and I like it in black and white. I'm going to give you a commendable 2 points.
How many have we done? Have we done them all yet? Oh, no. So this is the, another one since the Arcanum I started, playing around with natural lighting, this one, and getting old people's faces and their character. And just before she had this, or just after she had this photo, we were looking through her photo albums, and she was a really beautiful young woman, and she says, "Oh, isn't old age cruel?" And I just, when I look at this, I picture her saying that, because she looks a little bit sad.
Okay. I'm not a terribly big fan of the color finish that you used on this, especially with older people, or if you're photographing, like I do a lot of work with Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep Foundation, so we work with a lot of terminal newborns. Like anytime you're working with people that, you know, are well seasoned, you don't want to pull out blues and greens in their face, because what do you think of when you think of children? You think of rosy cheeks. So warming up the tones is a really good, very clean, subtle way to add to the illusion of youth. Doing grayscales and blues and greens will actually make them look older. And that's just like, that's a very subtle color theory kind of thing, but as we get older, we get a little bit more frail. Our immune systems aren't quite what they can be, and you've heard of the term, like, she looks a little green, like green around the gills kind of thing when they're sick. It's that kind of paleness that I can't get behind. So I would probably retouch this a little bit differently and just kind of warm up the tones, lots of yellows and reds. And it can be subtle. It can still be sort of desaturated, but it definitely wants that as the base color. I would have pulled her a little bit further away from her background, just so that you didn't get that shadow fall off on the wall behind her. That's a little bit distracting. And that's always the first sign for me of new photographers that are kind of learning their way, is that they don't understand how to keep the light off the back, because the shadows are just, they're very, very rarely ever an addition to the photo or something that adds to it. I do like the portrait as a whole. I think if you had had her bring her eyes down a little bit, then it would have told a little bit more of a story of maybe her looking out the window or something. But that sort of head turned to the side, eyes up thing kind of always makes me think of like old school studio portraits. You know, like that's the same exact pose that my mom and my aunts and uncles are in every single family portrait from like the 50s to like the 90s. School portraits too is like that far off look off screen where they're trying to get it. So I would have, if it's a portrait for her, and I think there's so much character and story on the face of people that are older because they have so much wisdom and so much life, and all those lines are laugh lines and tear lines and anger lines, and you know they're all the stories of the face. So I probably would have had her look right to the camera, and if the light is what you were after and that's where it was, then I would have moved you towards the light to still be able to get her to connect with the camera, because right now there's just no connection between me and her as the viewer. It's still a very, very pretty, fairly well done technical portrait, but I think you can do better. I'm going to give it 2.
Okay, cool. So is that our 5?
That's our 5. So you can turn off the screen share so I can see your lovely face.
Let's see if I can do this now. Okay, does that work?
Yeah, nope, I still see
you. No? Okay. Now?
There you go. Okay, so hang on a second. I'm going to see if I can fix this so that it's going to both of us. Okay, so tell me a little bit about, tell me what you're looking to do and why the Arcanum and where you're looking to go in your business. Let's talk a little bit about that.
So I am basically self-taught, and I really felt I'd hit a plateau, really. I just wasn't improving. Still had ideas all the time, but I could just see my photography level had only gone so far. And what I've learned from the Arcanum is that, well, when you're self-taught, you sort of come up with something and you try and find the answer online or whatever. With the Arcanum, I realized that I didn't even know the questions most of the time. These things out there I didn't even know existed and never would have known if I hadn't joined up. So I really wanted to up my level of my photography. Plus, I've lost my direction a little bit because I'm the main income earner of my family. There's kind of that pressure as your mum. You just do what you have to do to bring in the bread. So I has, as you told me before, I basically was doing everything with my photography, and it was becoming less joyful because I've had to rely on it for money, and because I was doing everything, it wasn't so exciting anymore, which may be too why my photography had plateaued somewhat. So I have now changed on my website and so forth. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we were having a good discussion about this before, and I did the same thing when I started. When I started, I would shoot pets, and I would shoot weddings, and I would shoot families, and I would shoot boudoir, and I would shoot a freaking water bottle if you were going to pay me to do it, just so that I could say I was a professional photographer, because I loved the idea that I was making my living from art, and I wanted so badly to break that stigma of the starving artist and the fact that, you know, that you can't have a good life and be a creative, because, you know, bottom line is it's bullshit. So, but what I've learned is, and I think we talked about the doctor analogy, yeah?
Yeah.
So you'll pay a heart surgeon a lot more money than you'll pay your family doctor. And the funny thing is that you would trust a heart surgeon to tell you that you have the flu and prescribe you a medication, but you would not trust your family doctor to perform open heart surgery. So when you're balancing the family life, which I totally understand, and you're balancing, you know, kids and wanting to spend time with them and wearing the role of mother, but also being the breadwinner and also trying to run your own company and doing all of that, time becomes of the essence. So for a lot of us, it works better to do a low volume, high cost kind of thing where they're paying for quality and you're getting paid for that instead of the quantity. So you want to be a heart surgeon. And here's the thing is that you can still shoot all of that stuff if you want. I don't have a problem. I don't tell anybody they have to specialize. What I do want you to do is I want you to focus and show the work that you want to get hired for. So if what you really love is doing these beautiful glamour kind of portraits where you're outdoors and you're exposed to the elements and you have these epic backdrops, then that is everything that's on your website. And you will be surprised how many people will come to that. The better that you get at that and the more that you hone in on that craft and the more you become a specialist and lean towards being a heart surgeon, the more people will trust you with the other things, and you'll still get calls from maternity, and you'll still get questions about, can you shoot my wedding, and can we do this? So shoot everything, get paid for everything, but don't show the work that you don't want to get paid for. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So I do have a before and after of my website if you want to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. So turn on the screen share and show me what you got.
Let's go back to this one. So this was my before, and as you can see, everything's on there. You can see that there's commercial, wedding, events.
Okay, show me the after.
This is just my home page. So this is all on that first page. This is the bottom half. The first one was the top half. And now
Wait,
I'll
this is
bring.
all the original?
Oops. What's that? Sorry.
Those first two you showed me were all the one page for your website?
That was my home page. This is the bottom. That was the top. Yeah.
Okay, so that's way too busy. But before I critique, let's see what you've come up with now.
Okay. Let's see if I can do this now. I'll bring up. So this is my home page now. This is the top.
Better.
That's it for 4 things.
Still too busy.
Is it?
Yep, still too busy. So go to my website. Go to JessicaLark.com right now.
Okay. .com.
Mm-hmm. And I want you to see how little there is actually on it. The problem is that people actually see things. If you study psychology, they see things in 3. So any more than 3 is too much for your mind to take in at once. And they've done studies with buyers where if they have more than 3 options, they actually start to shut down. And you were hitting them with like 10 right off the top. So one, they don't have the time to go all the way through it. So there should never ever be more links on your homepage than there is space. So right now I could probably add 1, maybe 2 more in, and that's it. But when you come in, it's totally clean. And I want you to know that my first website looked almost exactly like yours, except for I tend to like the black background. But it did. There was just stuff everywhere. It just looked like photography just threw up all over that www.
Yeah.
You know, and I picked all kinds of clever names and wording, and I included all the info so they would have it all, and the phone didn't ring. The work sells itself. You don't need anything going on with that. It's very simple. It's clean. I think I have like 25 or 30 images that just roll like a slideshow, and that's it. That's the work. Those are my favorite images from long enough ago that I should probably update them. And then you can go in, and if you go to Artistic Seductions, you'll see when you mouse over, Intimate Couture is boudoir, Feminine Couture is maternity, Romantic Couture is my couples. Then you can go into the individual albums and see specific stuff. The Couture Manor Studio is just photographs of my studio and grounds. The book is my new book that's out. The Reliquarian is my new project. And the client login is where they go to see their private albums. And then there's the contact form. That's it. It's very, very minimal. There's no about the photographer. There's no, you know, these are my rates and my sessions and everything else going on. It's just clean, simple. When they like it, they'll message you and ask to book. So less is more. Let's go back to yours.
Okay. So I
Okay.
had, yeah.
So you have two options right now. Scroll back up to the top for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have two options right now. Either you're going to keep the top part or you're going to keep the bottom part. Which do you like better?
I think probably the top part.
You sound
Uh,
very, very sure of yourself.
no, I'm not at all. This is all, yeah. Yeah, I think the top part because it has all the info there and it has a slideshow.
Okay. So you can still do that. One, what is workshops?
I get called out a lot to teach people when they've first got their new DSLR and they can't figure out how to use it and why they're not getting good shots from it. So I do a lot of those, and the camera club get me in quite a bit.
Okay, are you a photographer or are you a teacher?
I like doing both.
Okay. No, are you a photographer or are you a teacher?
I'm a photographer.
Okay, so if you're a photographer, then the workshops come off of your website. That would be something that could maybe go in your blog or on your Facebook page, but you don't want to confuse your clientele. So maybe think about having a second website or a second blog or a second fan page, something else for them to come at, but you can't, what basically with that whole thing, you're again saying you're a general practitioner, you just became Walmart. You
Right.
went, I do portraits, I do black and whites, I do limited editions, I do weddings, I do workshops, I do a blog, I do a contact. There's all this stuff here that says I do everything. I'm a jack of all trades and a master of none.
Okay.
What are limited editions?
That was me wanting to do something a little bit different every month to offer. I don't know if you find this, but I find clients don't have much imagination. Sometimes I suggest an idea and they'll go for it and think it's really cool and they'll do it with me. So I was thinking of doing something different like that every month.
Okay,
Um,
so you have to understand that most people are going to hear limited editions and they're going to think that they're art prints because that's where we usually go. But I actually think that that is a brilliant idea. I think you need to hone in on the name a little bit.
okay.
So maybe limited theme sessions or something, get in the group with the fellow apprentices and let them kind of riff off each other with you and help you come up with a name for that. But I love the idea that you're doing that. And that can be something that you can have one a month and you can repeat them every year, or you can just keep coming up with new ones. I think that's a really unique idea that would set you apart from a lot of the competition in your area. However, if that's going to be your thing and that's where you're going to focus, then that's where you're going to focus. So the portraiture, the black and whites, and the workshops, they all come off then.
Okay.
Knit. Scroll back up to the top.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about weddings a little bit. Where do you want to focus? What do you want to be the heart for?
Yeah, I do want to get out of weddings. It's just been a bit too time consuming. I find they take over afterwards. But it's saying that it's what feeds my family most of the year.
Let me ask you, if you're giving up weddings because they're too time consuming, why when you redid the website are they still up there?
Because I can't afford not to have them at the moment. They're what my main income is.
That's not a good enough reason.
But my family will starve if I don't do them at the moment.
I don't believe that for a second because I gave up weddings too. One, when I took weddings down off my website, there was actually no shortage of people still inquiring about doing them. Don't get me wrong, I do think that you need to pay attention to your family and your finances, but that, again, if that's where your focus is going to be, what are you willing to get rid of? Because it's still too busy. You still have too much up here.
What I do love is the teaching, the black and white portrait has always been me, and the beauty
What
thing is
is what
mm,
is black and white? What is that? How is that
and
different
that
from
black
what
and
else?
white natural photography, family photography done in black and white.
So it's all
Um,
family?
yes.
Okay. And your portrait, okay, so you're being redundant, and I'm harping on you right now, but take it with love and just
Yeah.
hold out with your thick skin a little bit more. You've portrait, black and white, workshops, limited editions. Now scroll up. Portrait, black and white, limited editions, weddings, workshops, blog.
Yeah.
So we're repeating ourselves. Okay, so um, you're going to get rid of this little slideshow scrolly thing because it's too distracting, and I'm paying more attention to the motion than I am the images.
Okay.
Get rid of that one. Keep the bottom half. The whole top half is now gone. We're gonna
Okay.
take off the whole top half of your website. Scroll down. Keep going. What's at the bottom of your page? Anything?
Um,
Okay. So here's what I would do. Can you make the website or the screen a little bit bigger? Can we see more of the web page as a whole? Is that
I
possible? No?
don't know how to do that.
Okay, no worries, no worries. Okay, so right here as it is, I think
Yeah.
that look at them separately and pretend that you're choosing between the two. I think that the second one is probably your best bet. If weddings are your bread and butter right now, then you're going to get rid of this workshop one and you're going to put a wedding image. And that's going to
Okay.
be your weddings. Okay?
Mm.
So it'll be portraiture, black and white, weddings, limited editions. Now, when you scroll down further, all the way to the bottom,
That's it.
right down here where you have your email and your phone, you can
Yeah.
have a little link that says for photographers workshops, and you can still have that page on there, but it should be an afterthought because right now you're catering to your clients, not other photographers, unless you're
Okay.
making the majority of your money from your workshops. They don't need to be on there.
Okay.
Okay?
Cool.
So we're going to work on building the brand because, again, the same thing. If you are creating this beautiful, stunning imagery, then other photographers that go and stalk your site are going to go, oh my God, I really love this. And they're going to want to learn from you anyway. You don't have to bless that you do workshops. It can just
Okay.
be a little link at the bottom. And sometimes understated and subtle works better anyway. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Whew, you took that like a champ.
No, I want it all. I need the advice. I've only can go so far by myself.
Okay. So staying right where you are with those four columns,
Yeah.
um, natural, classic, cool, that can all go. Um, Workshops we're going to get rid of. Limited editions, you have to shrink that down into a smaller descriptor too. It's too many words. So
Okay.
it should just have the title above, and then it should be very simple. You again redundant. You don't have to have black and white in the blue, and then B and W directly underneath it.
Yeah.
Portraiture, stunning and artistic, beauty, evening gown, maternity, creative. I don't know that evening gown is a genre. That might fit under glamour. So I would pick 3 words to list underneath them, and I would just list them 1, 2, 3 in rows. So maybe it would be portraiture, beauty, maternity, glamour.
Okay.
Black and white, family, couples kind of fit with family. Teens, is that different than children? I would do maybe families and portraits.
Families
Um,
and yeah.
yeah, limited editions. Every month, something a little bit special for a limited time and for a limited number of sessions. So how little time? How limited number? Every month, we do 10 sessions with a specific theme.
Yeah. This is 8 sessions for this one.
Okay, so every How long do you do it? For a month?
Yeah, for 1 month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so every month we do 8 sessions for a specific theme, you know?
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
you can put the image up, and you can actually have just a little bit of text underneath it or over the image that says this month is, you know, fairy tales, or, you know, um, wisdom, age before beauty. You know, if you're going to focus on maybe seniors like over the age of 55 and do like some really beautiful portraitures, you know, find a clever name for the title, and instead of it being that the first line would just say like age before beauty, every month we have a new theme, 8 sessions, book yours now.
Cool.
Call to action. Okay. Nice and simple, but the way that you have it worded now is a little bit too heavy on the words, and it doesn't actually tell you anything. Every month, something a little bit special. It's not a little bit special. It's really fucking special, but don't write that because that'll offend people.
Okay.
For a limited time, for a limited number of sessions. You know, it's just a little bit too repetitive and heavy. Simplify it a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so good job.
With the workshops, if I took that out, could I just have weddings up the top, get rid of the, you know, this is the click on tabs at the top, just have the wedding there so it's still not like a main focus, but it's kind of there? Take out the slideshow, take out the workshops, and have those 3.
I think if you're going to have the 4 squares, then you have the 4 squares.
Okay.
And everything else goes. Now, you could probably do it, so I keep trying to scroll up the screen like I have control.
Yeah, sorry.
I think you could do it one of 2 ways. Either you could do maybe 8 squares or 6 squares. So you could do, say, portraiture, black and white, limited edition, weddings, and then underneath you could have workshops, blog, and contact kind of thing. And you could just have it in an 8 square motif. But the trick is to keep it clean. The motion, I think that should go. It's too distracting.
Cool.
And I'm not a big fan of that banner cut for the images, because I'm guessing a lot of these photos are cropped.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're just not doing justice to your images that way. So get rid of that. I don't like it. It's gone.
Okay. Cool. All right.
Your master has spoken. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
You did really, really well. That was a really rough critique of your website.
No, that was cool.
Do that. So let's turn off the screen share.
Yeah.
And we'll go back to just your lovely face. So what else? Let's talk about what else you're struggling with and where you're hoping to go, because you're just about to cross the first half sphere of your mastery.
Yeah, it's just really trying to up my photography level now, and I feel like I feel quite beginnerish compared to everybody else in the classroom. That they say things and I have no idea what they've just talked about, what those terms were. Yeah. So
don't worry,
I feel like
I've
got lots to learn.
I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. But I really appreciate being able to focus my business more of where I want it to go. It makes me feel happier anyway, even if I'm a bit nervous about making those steps. Yeah, I feel more excited to do it now. Yeah. Good.
So let's talk about where it is that you do want it to be. You have all this stuff on your website. The limited editions thing, I think, is a stroke of brilliance. It's very unique. I don't see many others do it. What is it that you want to be able to do, ideally? Don't think about money. Don't think about feeding your family. Just when you look at your business, if you spend every day doing this, what would this be?
It would be those black and whites. It would be those creative shoots. I would be happy with that.
Okay. And you don't want to do weddings?
No, I don't want to do weddings. I don't want to do babies in studios, which I've been doing because it pays the money. Yeah. I'd rather be, yeah. That's where I really want to do.
So here's the thing, is that you have this brilliant stroke of red, but your problem is that you're looking and you're going, well, everybody needs water. So I'm going to take this brilliant stroke of red and I'm going to put it in this basin of water with weddings and babies and things that everybody else is doing because it will pay the bills. And what you're doing is you're diluting the potency of what is special and unique about what you have to offer that all of the other people offering those things that you're trying to do aren't doing. So they can go to just about any photographer and get the cute little shots of the baby and the little knitted caps and like up on their hands and like all that stuff that's really popular right now. They can call 500 photographers probably within 25 miles of you to shoot their wedding. How many others can they call to get these limited edition sessions? How many others are focusing specifically on these black and white portrait sessions that have this classic old school kind of feel to them but still have this new energy? Do you know anybody else that's doing that around you?
No, nobody else is.
Which means come on.
And no one else, well, no one else is doing the beauty outside. Either they're doing the boudoir here, but no one's doing beauty outside with the beautiful landscapes we have here.
Okay. And let's talk business for a second. What happens when people want something and they can only get it from one place?
It becomes the label brand. I don't know. What's the term?
It becomes high end. It becomes coveted. It becomes something that you can only get one place, which means the price goes up. So
really,
how much?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how much are you making weddings right now? Let's talk about that a little bit. It's your bread and butter. What are you making?
From 1,500 to 2,500 per wedding.
Okay. How much are you making on your limited edition sessions and your black and whites?
Nothing yet because I've only just started those.
Okay. I only just started. That's not an excuse. Actually, that's all it is.
They were starting at 400.
400.
My family sessions were from 125 to 250 before, depending if it was a 30-minute or an hour. Now they're an hour, but they start at 400.
Okay, so let's discuss that a little bit. We have about 15 minutes left, so we're gonna do like some really intensive right now. At $200 to $400 for a portrait session that you like doing, as opposed to say $1,500 to $2,000 for a wedding. Let's just keep it really simple and say 200 versus 2,000. Okay. How much time are you spending on your weddings? Because you're spending the prep time to book them. You're going and you're spending the entire day shooting. How much time are you spending editing and putting products together? How long does a wedding take you?
So say if it was a 9-hour day, I'll be doing at least 18, 27 hours editing afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's
it's like a full week.
Okay, so like a week. So it's costing you a week. Okay?
Yeah.
So let's just break that down, because even though it's one session, ideally, it's a week's worth of work. So really you're making $2,000 for 7 days. Okay? If you're making, you said you wanted to go up to 400, right?
I'm starting at 400 now.
You're starting at 4. Okay, so let's just say at a minimum you're making $400 a portrait session. What's 400 times 7, Joni?
2,800.
Wait a minute, did you just say you're going to make more doing what you love in a week than doing what you hate?
Yes, Master Lark.
Okay, so here's the thing, is that you can decide, and you have to take into consideration everything else that you're doing with your family and how much time you want to set aside. Because if you look at it and say, and I'm not even going to get into charge what you're worth and where the prices are, but just from a logistics standpoint, if you look at it and go, I don't feel like I can book $400 because I'm not confident in where my quality is or blah, 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 that's not, whatever excuses you're going to put in front of that. You could look at it and go, okay, at 7 sessions in a week, I can make $2,800. Let's just round it down and make it 25 to make it nice and even, okay? $2,500. If you could do 1 session a day every week at $2,500, that would be $10,000 a month. Okay? I'm guessing that you don't need that much to be your bread and butter.
No.
Can you give me an idea of what you're looking to make, or what?
To cover the family living costs, my photography has to provide $400 a week.
So you would only have to book one studio session a week in order to survive.
Yeah.
4 sessions a month.
Yeah.
This is why you can't quit weddings.
Well, I haven't got that yet.
Well, do you think that maybe part of the reason that you're not booking these kind of sessions yet is because you're putting your energy, because you're trying to follow the money instead of having the money follow you?
Yes, I think that's where I have been making the mistake. Yeah.
Okay. So do you have a bunch of weddings on the books for this year coming up?
Yes, I do.
So here's what you're going to do. And this is going to, if it's anything like what happened with me, this is going to backfire on you. Here's what I want you to do. I want you right now to make the commitment, because we just figured out that you can actually make more money doing your studio sessions than you can doing weddings, which you don't like doing. And as someone that really did love doing weddings, shame on you, because if you don't love them, you should not shoot them. And this is the most important
I
day.
do enjoy them. Yeah. But they're not my favorite part. Yeah.
No, you don't love them enough to do them. I really loved them. I was a hopeless romantic, and I loved them until I started teaching, and then I wanted to do that more. And the day that there was a conflict of interest and I really didn't want to go to the wedding because I wanted to do something else was the day I went, that's it, I'm done. So that's what you're going to do right now. And you're going to do it for a couple of reasons, because the couples deserve someone that cares as much about their day as they do. But more importantly, because you deserve to be happy. Say that with me.
I deserve to be happy.
I do not believe you. Say it again.
Now you're going to make me cry. Jessica, I deserve to be happy.
You do deserve to be happy. And here's the thing. Money is important. Yes, we have to provide for our families. The reason that we want to make money is so that we can buy a beautiful home that we can raise our families in, and we can go on the vacations that we want to take and build the memories we have, and we can buy all of the things that we love and that bring us joy and comfort and fun and experiences that we want to share with the people that we love most. But if you are spending your time doing what makes you happy, you need significantly less money, because you're spending all your time doing what you love. You deserve to be happy. Happiness is a much higher currency than money. Money is a piece of paper. You can always make more of it. It does not bring you happiness. And if you are spending your time away from your family that you're providing for, doing something that you don't enjoy, it's not worth it. Period. Nothing is worth it if you are not happy. So you are going to make this commitment to yourself and to your family, because it's going to give you more time with them, which is what you want. And it's going to give you more time to focus on what you do want to shoot and what does make you fulfilled. And we're going to find the way to financially add to it. Stop crying. Nobody's going to join my cohort if you all cry. And what I want you to do is I want you to go on your social media, because once it's on Facebook, it's official. I want you to go to all your social media pages and say thank you so much to everybody that helped begin my career. I have so enjoyed being a part of the most important moments of your day. This is the last year that I will be booking weddings. I will be honoring all of the commitments that I currently have, but I am going in a new direction, and I so look forward to capturing beautiful classic black and whites of your maternity, of your family, and of the people that matter most to you, because that's where my passion lies. And you're going to get about 15 wedding requests in the next 2 months, just like I did, because people are going to go, oh no! And they're not going to want to wait. Once you do that, then we're going to start looking at the finances, because $400 a week is nothing. It's nothing. How long does it take you to do a portrait session?
An hour.
An hour to shoot, and how much time to edit?
Probably another hour and a half, 2 hours, yeah.
Okay, and what kind of products are we giving them? Are they getting albums or books?
They're getting a book and a pen drive, a little
Little thumb drive?
and a pen drive.
Okay, so how much does their book and their thumb drive cost you?
$40
Forty
cost me.
dollars.
Yeah, that's
Forty
what it cost
dollars
me.
and 3 hours of work.
Oh, what's that? Sorry.
40 hours and 3 hours of work for a portrait session.
No, sorry, lost me that one. Say that again.
You said it's $40 for the album and the pen drive, and it's about 3 hours of work between the session and the editing.
Oh no,
Correct?
that's what the pen drive and the book cost me. I charged them 400 all up to
Okay,
get.
now we're talking about what it cost you. That's what your investment is in the session.
Oh yes, yeah.
As opposed to a week's worth of work and probably significantly more money dedicated to the products, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's what I want you to do is I actually want you to sit and break down and just break down that you're going to do, say, 5, let's say 7. You're going to do 7 sessions a month, 7 portrait sessions or 7 of your limited edition sessions. And I want you to break down what that's going to cost you in money and what that's going to cost you in time. Okay?
Yeah.
Then what I want you to do is I want you to compare that to one wedding. Because you said it takes you about a week to do one wedding. So it's the same amount of time. It's 7 days. Okay? And I want you to see how close that comes out to even, if not in your favor. And here's what we just did. We just got you to the financial point that you want to do, or the financial point that you are currently that we can then expand on and grow, doing only what you love shooting and working 7 days a month.
Yeah.
Remind me again how this is just not going to work for you.
No, hoping it will. I just maybe need to market it somehow, but yeah.
Well, here's where that comes in, is that if you have the other weddings on the books, you have a little bit of breathing room, which is what I did. You know, I had the full year booked. I said I wasn't booking anymore, but I still had weddings out, I think, 15 months that were already booked and had deposits down. So I knew I had money coming in from those things when I left. And I knew I have a lot of my clients are set up on payment plans. I haven't shot a wedding since 2013, and I still have payment plans from weddings from them ordering different products and things coming in that they get on their anniversaries. So you know that you have some income coming in, so you have breathing room. You have a process of availability, but you don't need to devote any more time towards booking something that you don't enjoy doing in the future. So what you're doing is you're freeing up all that time to have this overlay where all your weddings are fading out and all of your new sessions that you want to focus on are coming in, and they're just going to fade. And by the time that these ones fade out, you're going to have enough of an avalanche of work building and flowing through your funnel that you're not going to miss it. And then we can start worrying about what we're going to do to up that ante even more so that you're making $800 a session or you're making $1,300 a session. And we'll get to the point where you're making $2,000 a session like I do, and you go, I remember when I didn't make this on half my weddings. It really is not as difficult as you think it is. And with the quality of work, and as your work starts to grow in the mastery program and you start really, really taking off visually and it becomes even more coveted, people are just going to be salivating for it. And they're going to love it because it's yours. And you already are leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of the people that I work with inside the Arcanum and out, because you know where your focus is. You know what you're passionate about. You know what you want to do, and you know what fires you up. And people will feed off of that emotion, and they will have as much of a intense reaction to your emotional attachment to it as they will to the visual imagery itself. Passion is contagious when it comes to that. And people will look at that, and they will feel that, and they will be moved by that in the same way that they're moved by the depth of emotion that Ava throws into hers, you know, and by the lust and the romance and the sexuality that Tom puts into his, and by the playful nature and the juxtaposition that Darn puts into his. You guys are starting to find your voices and where your pieces are. And the thing is that people will never go to Darn or to Tom or to Ava to get your kind of work, and they won't go to you to get what they want from them. That's the part that nobody competes on. And once you find that sweet spot with your voice where the art is echoing the artist, they can't go get it from anybody else, because anybody else, no matter how well they mimic you, is just a knockoff version. And you will never pay $400 for a bag that mimics a designer bag. If you're going to invest the premium price, then you want the premium product, even if it's just the name. They can be made out of exactly the same materials, with exactly the same stitching, with exactly the same tags. But the fact that one says Louis Vuitton and one says Louis Vuitton, you know, that little two-letter difference, Prada and Prado, one they're willing to pay for and the other one they're not. Your black and whites and your limited edition sessions, those are going to be your ticket item. Those are going to be your brand. And you can actually build them as a brand together too, where that's what they're getting and that's what they're doing. And every time somebody says, you know, I really just love that old classic black and white kind of feel to the images, I just want something a little more, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, have you heard about Joni? Because I know this girl, let's go to her website, which is clean and doesn't have 5,000 links on it anymore, and we'll just look at all this pretty work. Yeah?
Yeah. Sounds good.
Good? Okay.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? Have I damaged you? Will you recover?
Yes, no, I've got a big notepad full of scribbles that I've taken notes on. Yeah, lots to work on. It'll be good.
Good, good.
Let's bring it on.
Well, you did marvelous. You did. You did really well. I was pretty harsh with you there for a minute.
No, it's awesome.
Deep breath. Go in. Tell the rest of the apprentices you survived. They were worried about you.
Okay, I will. I don't know how to disconnect.
Okay, I will turn it off, and I will talk to you at level 9 when we do this again.
Okay, thank you.